All right, so welcome back to the calculation of the activity-based costing and trying to find a more fair way to find out where we make the profit of the company. So the first step here, we will try and calculate the gross profit percentage in the traditional way that most companies would do their calculations. Now I have a little something down here, I'm not sure, but let's see. All right. So the revenue of the supermarket, what we need to calculate here, we were told at the beginning, let's scroll up here. At the beginning, we were told that the average turnover per delivery for the supermarkets was 37,000 kroner. So this we of course multiply with the number of deliveries we have in that period that we're looking at. So for supermarkets, the revenue in this period is 4,440,000. Now this is the same calculation for health food and retailers, so we will just pull over our calculations here. So if we go up and check here, turnover per delivery multiplied with number of deliveries, and for retailers we have the same two numbers here you see here. All right, so that was the turnover. Now the cost of goods sold, the variable cost, the direct cost that we have allocated to this, we are told that average use of articles per day, that's the cost of goods sold, multiplied again with the number of deliveries we have in the period. So 4.2 million. So this we again can copy to this side. All right, over here we have just summed the three retailers here. So to calculate the gross profit, we take our revenue and we subtract our cost of goods sold. Now, if you cannot point at the cell with the mouse, what you can do is you can use your keys, keys down here with the arrow, and then step one, step up. So here we have the first calculation of gross profit, and the third and the second and the third here, and in total, and then indirect costs. The way we traditionally would do it, we would just take the total indirect cost and then subtract all of it, so 457,080, as to see that our profit at the end of the day would be 532,920. So the gross profit margin we can calculate for each of our objects here, each of our sales channels. So we take our gross profit and we divide with the revenue. So this is, of course, the gross profit margin. I'll just write a little percentage here. Now this calculation we can do for all three change channels here, right? But this calculation of profit margin can only be calculated for the total. So we take the total here, total profit divided with the total revenue. So this would be the profit margin. And of course we can take the gross profit here. So profit margin in total of 399. Now it would be interesting to be able to do that for all three change to see where do we actually make the profit. Here it seems that the retailers are the most profitable ones, but it's difficult to see where we actually make the profit because we do not know which of these change here or which of these objects here uses most of our indirect costs. All right. So let's take a look at this. Actually, it seems that I've already calculated it. So just to help you a little here, I'm not sure why I did that. I did it when I was practicing it. I will erase this part. Sorry about that. All right. So the cost drivers we have already calculated, right? So all of these numbers are coming from up here where we calculated the cost driver rates. So this is the amount that for each unit of use in the specific activities, we will multiply with this cost driver rate. Now, this part here is all copied from the calculations we just did up here, right? No need to calculate that again. You can simply just copy it and work a little smart with Excel here. Now, the interesting part is coming here from calculating this to allocate to see where and who is using most of our indirect costs here. So for this first one, what we want to do is we want to take our cost driver rate and multiply with number of orders. So let's find number of orders for supermarkets. Here it's the 140. That's the cost used by the supermarkets for number of orders. Now we have directly related the number of orders to the supermarket. Now the calculations is identical for both. Oh, and what did I forget? I forgot to fix my cost driver rate. So the numbers were a little crazy here. So let's just change that. And here you see the difference, okay? So I want separators on my numbers because that's easier to read. So I'll just do it like that, okay? So here we have number of orders multiplied, number of orders in the health food chain multiplied with the cost driver rate for order received. Now picking orders, so picking up from the stock to each order. Now here we need to remember, of course, we start with the cost driver rate. We will fix it. Press F4 if you have a normal keyboard. Perhaps you need to press FN F4 or a Command T if you have a Mac computer, okay? So here we need to multiply with, and let's take a look at this. So of course we need to multiply with number of orders because that's what we're picking up from stock for each order. But we also need to calculate, to multiply with number of lines per order. And here we have the calculations for this number. So now we can copy this because this is identical also for the calculations here. So the cost driver rate multiplied with number of orders multiplied with the number of picking up lines for each order. All right, so here was the number for that. So delivery, basically here per delivery, the cost driver rate is 50. So we fix that number and we multiply that with the number of deliveries. Let's get up and pick up the number for deliveries for supermarkets here, 120 total shop deliveries. All right, so we want to copy that calculation over here. So if we double click here, you'll see this is the cost driver rate for delivery multiplied with number of deliveries for the health food chain, etc. And this one, delivery cost driver rate multiplied with the 1,000 deliveries we make for retailers. All right. So now quantity delivered. Remember we had this that per delivery we on average delivered, was it 300 for supermarkets cartons, and for health food chains it was 80, for retailers 16. So again, here we need to add a little more to this specific calculation here, okay? So cost driver rate, we fix that one. This must be multiplied with, let's get up here. So number of deliveries, 120, and multiplied with number of cartons that we deliver every time we make a delivery. All right, for supermarkets. We're calculating for supermarkets. 72,000 for supermarkets. So now we have fixed the number, yes. So now we can copy the calculations. So let's take a look into the to the retailers. I forgot to translate that, but I think you get it. So cost driver rate multiplied with number of deliveries, number of cartons per delivery. All right, let me just fix this. So these are retailers. Sorry. All right, so we're almost there. filling shelves. So how much do we use on filling the shelves for our different customers? Let me just check the time, 10 minutes, all right. I need to check the time, yes, sorry about that. So again, we take the cost driver rate, this we fix, and now we need to calculate. Let's see, all right, so it says here, number of shelf filling hours per delivery is 3. How many deliveries did we have? 120. We use 3 hours every time we have a delivery. We have 120 deliveries in the supermarkets, and enter. So you can take this. We have fixed the cost driver rate. Now we can simply just copy over the calculations. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what you want to check is that this number here is identical to our total indirect cost. Yeah, I call it a pot. I'm not sure it's the right word to use in English, but I hope you understand it. All right, and yes, it is. So we have done the right calculations. So calculations for the gross profit is the same as it was in the previous task. So now we have added all of our indirect costs, but we have allocated them between our 3 cost objects. So now we can, for each of our channels, each of our objects, we can now calculate the profit. We're taking the gross profit minus the total indirect costs. We do that for each of our objects. Now we can, just like we did before, calculate the gross profit margin. That doesn't change, but we can also calculate, oh, did I know? We can also calculate the profit margin. So let's do that. I'm not sure I did that here. Yes, we did. So now you see that now we can do this for all of our calculations. So now we can also, when we have calculated the total indirect costs here, we can also calculate the profit margin for each. So let's use the sum button up here to calculate only the indirect cost in this case. All right, so now we have allocated all of our indirect costs on each object. This gives us a total different picture of where we are actually making the profit. All right, so here we take the profit, for instance, for health retailers here, and then we divide it with the revenue. And you can see it changes the pictures. Before it seemed that the retailers were the one we were making the highest profit of because we had a total subtraction of the indirect cost, but actually the retailers are also the most complicated sales channels that we have. They use much more of our indirect activities here, and therefore when we'll look at it from an activity-based costing perspective, you can see we are making more profit in this case on health food change than on the retailers. So now we have a better option. Either we need to be more efficient here in those two, or perhaps we need to pay more attention to where we actually make our profit. All right, you will see in other tasks in the 7.2 task here, you are asked actually to also go deeper into 2 specific companies in Åbenrå health business and Haderslev health business. And you will see, do the same calculations, and you will actually see that using ABC, you will find out that you have a loss on one of these. I'm not going to show you what here. I just wanted to demonstrate the activity-based costing system, and this is how it works. So basically, let me just check the time. Basically, this is what goes on. Calculate the cost driver rate, allocate the indirect costs, and you have a more clear vision of where you're making the profit of your company. So this is it for now. See you in the next video.